Hi there. Thanks for choosing to have a look at my View Online Professional Development event video. Welcome. I wanted to share some news about a tactile communication project that I'm working on. My name's Steve Rose. I'm a speech and language therapist and I work in both independent practice and in the NHS. And I've worked with children with vision impairment, children with deafblindness, and a lot of children who use tactile communication as a way to communicate. I've actually had a really long-held interest in this area, and I've worked quite extensively across kind of early intervention projects, as well as with young people who are kind of using more established tactile language systems, if you like. And I want to talk about this project because it's really exciting project, thinking about a tool to support tactile language development, and it's really just trying to describe this whole spectrum of need. But I wanted to talk about a piece of work. So it's the Bodily-tactile communication and tactile sign language framework. And I just want to say it's really influenced by and recognises a lot of the existing theories and perspectives about tactile communication and tactile language. I hope it really gives credit to all of that work because I think that's really important, and I also hope it continues to build on that and help establish some good practice. I know there's a real gap particularly in the UK, about something that really works within our education and health system, because that theory is brilliant, but it can be really hard to embed it in everyday practice because we've got so many competing options and systems in use, if you like. So it's about just trying to kind of help us understand it. One of the things that I find quite confusing is that I think there are a range of kind of tactile communication modes, many of which kind of overlap or have very specific ways of doing them. And some of them get used together and some of them stand alone. So I think I want to try and help clarify some of this. I really want to try and describe what things look like, what progress looks like, and how we can develop support and develop strategies at different phases so that we know that we can help the young people that we're working with really make progress. So the tool itself is organised into 4 phases. They're all broadly related to different phases of language development. There's kind of the first is the sensory learners, then we have emergent language learners, foundation language learners, and then linguistic or language learners. It's not necessarily been designed that a child will move through each and every one of these phases. In fact, for some children, the likelihood of that is going to be quite a challenge. But I think it helps to plan out a bit of a journey, identify some starting points, and trying to really sort of think about how far we can help children in developing language in the tactile mode. Within each phase, you'll find that there are a number of domains related to tactile language development. That includes things like understanding and expressive use of tactile expressions, but also kind of things like attention and hand hygiene and social aspects of communication as well. So it's really trying to think quite holistically about all the different skills that a child will need to develop at the different phases. Currently, it's available on my website, which I'll talk about in a minute. I just ask that people are kind. I know it's very easy to kind of spot things when it's kind of you've been working on it for a really long time. I know that there are bits that really could be improved in there, but I also hope that it's a starting point, and I want to have a conversation with colleagues really about how do we make sure that this really does kind of meet our needs. How does it kind of help us embed bodily tactile communication and tactile sign language in our day-to-day practice in a way that's really meaningful and provides a real option of communication for children and young people? So, how to get involved? If you want to have a look at the framework, you can download it from my website. It's available at www.steverosetherapy.co.uk. If you look under the publications section, you'll be able to find it there. And what you'll find is there are 2 things on that page. There's an option to download the framework, and to do this I'm asking you to sign up to a mailing list. And really this is just so that I can keep in touch and gather some feedback. You'll also see there that there's an online survey to fill in. And I've put it on there just as you can kind of see the sorts of questions that I'll be asking people to think about, but also so that you can sort of share your views. There's two parts to that survey. There's a part which is about the framework itself and how helpful it is, and there's also a part which is about kind of trying to kind of give examples of how it's used, how you've used the framework with a particular learner, and that's really so that I can sort of start to see some really clear examples of how it's helped in your planning and goal setting and things like that. Periodically, I'm going to write to people on the mailing list and just remind them or invite them to kind of complete that survey. It won't be very many emails, it's just about trying to keep in touch. I'd be really glad if you could share the framework with colleagues. I'm asking that if you kind of encourage people to sign up themselves and download it that way, rather than just sharing the document. I really want to kind of make sure that we connect with people who are using the framework. And finally, if there's enough interest, I am going to try and do some webinars about the framework. And basically, I'm going to use the mailing list to kind of share details about any upcoming webinars once I've got them planned. Finally, if you want to ask me any questions at all, or you just want to have a chat about it, you can email me at steve@steverosetherapy.co.uk. I'm also on Twitter. I'm at steveroseSLT. I really hope that you want to get involved. I think as a VIEW audience is a really helpful audience in terms of thinking about working with children who might be needing to use bodily tactile communication and tactile sign language. And I just want to sort of help us think about it a bit more strategically. I really look forward to your comments. Thanks for your time, for listening in, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.